What's up, guys, and thank you for joining us for episode 3 of the Blitz Brawl. We come with finally came up with a fancy name. It's no more just episode 1, 2. We've now got Blitz Brawl, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're literally pitting community member against community member in a brawl to the death of a game of Blitz Legacies Allure. And as always, I'm joined by the rather wonderful Speed Rabbit. How are we doing, my friend?
We're doing just fine. It's a lovely winter day. The snow is melting, and I'm ready for the spicy Legacies Allure action to help it melt faster. On play today, we've got Dex and Laro, and looks like they are itching to get started. So we're all ready if you are, Woody.
Almost 1 second. I just want to quickly cover something very, very quickly. Because we are upping the ante a little bit today. So we're progressing the game on a little bit more. Obviously, episode 3 now, we kind of feel like you guys have had the basics. You know, you've been spoon-fed Legacies Allure. Now let's start going into that real creme de la creme of Legacies Allure. So we're still playing Blitz. It's still 50 gold, meaning there's 50 provisions split across the army they're playing. Slight caveats this time. The players have brought their own armies, which you're completely allowed to do in the game. 50 golds, they made up themselves. They're bringing it to the fray. But more importantly, we now have I say the draft phase, don't get confused with the draft mode and blitz mode. But what this means is the players are now allowed to choose the positioning of their cards as they go forward. So let's say, for example, Dex plays 12 gold onto the board. Then Lara will have to match or beat that 12 gold from their cards in any position they want behind their front lines. So that's what it is. It's not quite the full drafting mode that you'll get with the traditional draft mode at Legacies Allure, but it does have a lot more strategic element because you can counter your opponent by positioning your units of your 50 gold provision Blitz army. But that's basically it. I think, as you said, we're ready to go, right? I think the players are good to go. So enough of us boring the lovely viewers, and let's jump in and check out some Legacies Allure action. Okay, so we are into the game with Dex against Laro, and taking a quick look at the factions we have here. We have Laro's lovely username slapped over the cards, but you get an idea. He's playing Kaar'thul from the Gath faction. The goblins, as you can see, lots and lots of goblins, which you're going to ask Speed Robo in a minute why there are so many goblins there. And we also then have Dex on the Arengard, the blue faction. Running Aurelia as their champion, their hero, shall we say? And you'll notice Dex has a lot fewer cards as well than Lara does. So, Speed Rabbit, talk us through. We spoke about action commonly. We spoke about the game lots in the last couple of weeks. Both armies are 50 gold. So why has Lara opted for so many more cards over, say, what Dex has gone for?
Well, that's a great question. So what Laro's trying to do is he is executing the sort of I have more men than you have bullets strategy. If he can overwhelm his opponent in the early game by just being able to do more things than his opponent, there's a chance he can get Dex in a situation that would be negative for him at the end of the round. So with all these extra cards, what Laro can do is make smaller plays or even skip with some of his cards in the early or mid game to save his big units and his big plays for the end to try and prevent Dex's healers or Aurelia's Solar Aegis from being used effectively against him.
Yep.
And there is a potential for the strategy to work out, but the downside is that Dex is going to be looking to set up different forking situations, because if Laro has more actions and uses them, that means he'll be going second at the start of each round, as the player who moves last will be the player who moves last in the previous round will be going second in the following round.
Yep.
So if, for example, Dex can get his knight to be threatening two different important pieces on Laro's board, well, then Laro's going to have to go first to try and protect them. And that's the really good way around the swarming strategy that Laro's trying to pull off here.
Yes, yes. And some people may be watching going, well, how's this fair? How can one kingdom or army have so many more units than the other? And it comes down again to that gold cost. If we look at an example here, Knight. Knight, you can see top right-hand corner is 8 gold. So it would take up 8 gold from the 50 gold available to you in your Blitz army. And that's the rule set we're playing today. And you compare it to something like Goblin Bombardier, which is only 2 gold. So effectively, Goblin Bombardier, you can then take 4 Goblin Bombardiers for the 1 Knight. And obviously that then is represented in the card's strength, shall we say. So passives and card text aside, 1 damage, 2 movement, 1 health from the Goblin Bombardier, and then you have 3 damage, 3 movement, 5 health from the Knight. And that's kind of how the balance is done. And as you pointed out as well, lots of cheap goblins. And a card I don't see played much, Battle Fury. Even combining Battle Fury, which target allied unit gains charging and +1 power this round, that unit's health becomes 1, +1 action if it's not combined. Well, all of these goblins, or most of these goblins, health is 1 anyway. So it really doesn't matter having that kind of side salad to it of, hey, you drop your health to 1. Well, that doesn't matter. Goblin Bombardier's health's 1 anyway. But then also add that with Troll Shaman, with the Bloodthirst and the target ally gains +X for the following rounds, +1 power, charging, piercing, steadfast. Meaning now that you can get a Goblin Archer potentially up to 3 damage off of the buff from Battle Fury and the Troll Shaman. Or you can get a Goblin Bombardier, give it charging, and all of a sudden just launch it in at 3 damage to one of the Arengard units and pick them off. And it's like you said, very much, I'm going to have more bullets than you, and I'm going to fire more bullets to you. They're not going to do as much damage, but you've got to deal with my wave of goblins. So it'd be really interesting to see how that pans out. And the Crag Behemoth in there, I'm assuming to just be like, hey, deal with all these little micro annoying. They're like piranhas. Is probably the best way I'd describe it. Like these little piranhas that, on their own, they don't do much, but as a swarm, they're gonna destroy you. I mean, there's a big old beastie shark in the middle that's trying to pull the aggro, or these little piranhas around the outside nibbling away at them. That's the my analogy may be way off, but does that kind of sum it up?
No, you're summing it up perfectly, and that's exactly what Crag Behemoth is going to do. What I genuinely expect to see as the first move of the first round is Crag Behemoth is going to move straight to center and take control of that hex, because that's where he needs to be. Yeah. That steadfast keyword is huge when it comes to defense, as Crag Behemoth cannot be charged. So you have to get right up next to that guy in order to start dealing damage. But that 6 power that the Behemoth is packing means that moving next to him is kind of a death wish.
Yep.
So in many ways, it's a sort of lose-lose situation when you're trying to engage with Crag Behemoth. And that's exactly why what I expect Dex's strategy to be is to just ignore the Crag Behemoth until the end of the 7th round. Sort of circle around Laro's army, pick off the goblins, pick off the support mages, take care of Kaar'thul, and then in round 6 and 7, finish off the Behemoth, claim center, and thus victory.
Sounds so simple. I now expect Dex running the Arengard to completely execute that to plan. And also, as you said, Crag Behemoth taking center point, not only is that really important because a huge unit like that controlling center is basically controlling the win condition. Also, they get that 1 shield. Doesn't sound like much, but you stick that 1 shield on a 12 health unit already. With the Steadfast, that is a seriously tough unit to deal with. And as we said before, Legacy's Allure is a very modest game when it comes to its stat lines. So that 1 shield is massive when it comes to potentially winning or losing.
I could not agree more, and it looks like the players have finished their positioning, so the play is about to begin. Battle phase has been pressed, the shield is in the center, and away we go.
Yeah, so just to point out again, so if people were wondering why the cards didn't start on the board, as we said, it was a drafting phase. So these cards, there was no sideboard, there was no extra draft cards. They purely were choosing positioning. So they were choosing positioning and then reacting to their opponent where they positioned them. And you'll notice the clocks have ticked down on the side as well. And that's because when you're positioning or drafting, depending what mode you're playing in Legacy's Law, it does come under the regulation of the clock usage as well. So the time you get overall, the 25 minutes, comes into your drafting and or placement phase as well as your playing phase. Just to clarify that.
Oh, no, this is very interesting. Instead of moving the Behemoth to the center immediately, Laro has opted to go for a setup move in the form of Battle Fury. Now, viewers at home might be wondering why Kaar'thul did not exhaust himself after using Battle Fury, and that's because Battle Fury grants +1 action to Kaar'thul if it's not combined. And when a card gains +1 action, it is unexhausted. It's reactivated, so he can take another action during this round.
Yep.
I kind of agree with this play. Doing your setup now is generally pretty good, but I think letting Dex go in and claim that center, or potentially go in and claim that center, is a bit of a mistake. That one shield does matter, and it matters a lot.
Yep.
So we'll just have to see what Lara's planning here.
And the magic resist coming over here on the knight as well. Magic resist 3 coming off the spell breaker there as well. It was combinable, so you notice that Dex moved the spell breaker up 1 card and then cast a spell, because that's the keyword combinable, meaning you can move and take the card action in the same turn. And now we see the knight kind of going straight in for it. It's being like, hey, I'm just going to a cat among the pigeons right up there. These knights, I suppose the reason they can get away with this, right, is because that armor 1. And if we look around them, the Goblin Archer, 1 damage. The Goblin Bombardier, 1 damage. The other Goblin Bombardier, 1 damage. The only card that actually threatens to do any damage is the Goblin Lackey, which has a charging and the ability to do that. However, it's going to kill itself on it just to get 1 damage on that knight. So it's a real... do you like that position of kind of throwing the knight up there and saying, now deal with this?
This is textbook. This is absolutely textbook, Woody. If you are playing a well-balanced, well-rounded army, you spread out your gold evenly, and your opponent's like, I'm going to draft 1,000,000 2-drops, this is exactly how you deal with them. You take one of your big cards and you say, okay, I've got armor, I've got magic resist, you can't touch me, it's in your front line now, deal with it.
Yep.
Perfect play from Dex right here. This is exactly what I would want to see.
Yeah, and as you said, that magic resist, so some people might be thinking, well, what does a magic resist do? And obviously, Kaar'thul is a card here, and the lightning bolt, for example, would deal 1 magic damage to a target unit, and that card, it's straight up good. I mean, it's out of range anyway, but that's an example of anything that is a magic damage to a card. It's now resisting. It would basically block 3 damage that would come to it if it was dealt from a magic source. And now
I
see this.
Here. And I got to talk about this play that just happened, because this is exactly what I was worried about. Dex moves Aurelia to capture center, gaining the shield, and then he triggers her combinable Solar Aegis ability to prevent the knight from being attacked at all this entire round. Laro used his Bloodthirst on his Goblin Lackey so that the Lackey could move in and deal some substantial damage to that knight in exchange for the Lackey being destroyed at the end of the round. And Dex just says, no, none of that's going to happen. Solar Aegis, it can't be attacked.
Yep. And
that's just gone.
Yeah, and the trade-off on a lot of these goblins, the idea of buffing them up is, but they only have 2 movement. Despite giving them charging and all that, they can't reach that center hex. They can't even put pressure or threaten Aurelia for doing that, for getting up there and being aggressive and being pokey and in the face. They can't retaliate to that. They do have the Hound, which does have the +1 power on it, so that does pose at the moment 2 damage. But yeah, the knight now is there, and it's sat back, it's having a cup of tea, it's enjoying itself, and it's just watching these goblins absolutely freak out around it now, because it's, what do they do? What do they do?
I mean, at this point, yeah, that's about it. Laro moving the Crag Behemoth into position to try and deal with the knight. But the issue with that is honestly that Laro took too many units. Okay? Yep. So now, if Laro wants to go first to kill the knight, he has to skip with the entire rest of his army.
Yep.
And so all of this investment in these 2 gold units is effectively gone to waste, because Dex has done exactly what I was talking about earlier on, of how you deal with action economies. You get right in their face, you set up pins, and either your opponent lets you go first and you get a devastating blow or a devastating combo off, or your opponent just skips with all their 2 golds and the investment is null and void.
Yep. Indeed, indeed.
Great play.
And there we go.
Oh,
Spike Collar
I don't
Hound
know
coming
about
in.
that move from Dex. That looks like a dropped crossbowman.
Yep.
It's not a dropped crossbowman, it was a bait! It was a bait to get Laro to move so that now Dex can skip with the rest of his army, go first, and save the knight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Genius!
So pulling it out there. So there we go. We see the Bombardier going in, dealing the 1 damage to Aurelia, removing the shield as well. Aurelia's health is actually higher than we can see on the card. It says 5 on the card, but she has one armor and +1 health from the worm scale mail.
Yep.
As well. But yeah, so I mean, obviously, I don't want to say was that the correct play, baiting out the spike collar, but that was absolutely the right play, right? Baiting that out, skipping through and saving the knight. So the knight's got up there, it's caused some aggro, and now it's getting out there. And it's just freaking the goblins out.
It's freaking me out, man. That was such a smart play. I initially thought it was a total just loss of gold, but Dex surprises me by just thinking 5 steps ahead. Like, wow. And now Laro's goblin archers, well, they can't really do a whole lot. Aurelia's 1 armor prevents them from dealing any significant damage. Yep. Oh, he's sacrificing a goblin lackey to give +1 power, go in, deal another damage to Aurelia. But,
okay, so Aurelia's currently got 3 health remaining because the worm scale. So not the 2 that we can see there, the 3 health overall remaining. So Aurelia is pushing on there, but it's easy to go, oh, well, Dex might lose a hero here, might lose Aurelia. But if you actually look at the bigger picture, Aurelia's not only taken the center point, Aurelia's taken 3 units out with her as well. So just eating away at those units more and more and more. The magic damage coming in from Kaar'thul to do 1 more as well. Meaning Aurelia is on 1 health at the moment because the worm scale is just keeping her alive on that one there. Armor wouldn't protect against Kaar'thul because it's magic damage, if I'm mistaken.
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, wow. Just honestly, wow, this game has been a lot more explosive, a lot more aggressive, and a lot more intense than I thought it would be. I thought this would be much more passive from both players, but, you know, when... I think that's what Laro was hoping, and that's what Laro was going for with his build. But Dex just said, no, I'm not going to let this be a passive game. You're playing at my tempo. You're playing at my speed. We're going at it. Cards are going to be flying across this table round 1. During, like, the positioning and setup round, it's going to be a bloodbath. And I think it's going to work out in Dex's favor, ultimately. There's a few things that I'm concerned. The Spike Collar Hounds are getting pretty close to that back line, able to threaten the Tempest Mage and the Priest. But we'll see. I mean, step 1, I think, would be to get the knight out of danger.
Yeah. And there we go. So we head into round 2. So 7 rounds overall. Whoever controls the golden hex in the middle at the end of the 7th round wins the game, or obviously if you wipe your opponent's army out before that time, you win by default because you would automatically claim the center hex. And also there'll be a lot of people watching this who will naturally see red in terms of the Gath cards and think red means they've got to be aggressive. It's something that we just, card game players associate red must mean aggro, red must mean aggressive. Blue maybe means more control-like. Legacy's Law definitely doesn't promote a singular archetype with a faction. Gath can both be defensive, they can be tactical, they can be aggressive, they can be built any way they want, as can Arengard and as can Sylvan in the green faction, which we saw last week. And that's one of the real standout things of the game, right, is that there is no set archetype tied to a faction. A faction can be any archetype you design them to be through the deck building and the army building process.
Yes.
Spike Collar coming in now.
Yeah, Spike Collar Hound coming in to take down Priest. There wasn't a whole lot Dex could do about it. And I think what happened was Dex forgot that Spike Collar Hound has the pathing keyword. Pathing means that it can move through any unit. Now, normally, cards can't move through each other. Yep. Cards with allied pathing can move through allied units, and cards with any pathing can move through any unit. And Spike Collar Hound just has regular pathing, so he can go through whatever. And I think Dex was trying to set up a wall, keep his priest safe while also protecting the knight, and just missed the pathing. And that's a priest down.
Yeah, and if anyone's wondering why the knight didn't move, you can see there can't be attacked. The Solar Aegis was cast as Aurelia moved from the center hex back. She cast the Solar Aegis, meaning that now the knight cannot be attacked. So it's there for a little bit longer and it cannot be attacked. That Crag Behemoth is staring at them, ready to swing a club, but they can't do anything at the moment.
Yep, that's... Now I'm just trying to think through what the most optimum play for Dex is at this point. And I think it's just keep getting his units up in the mix. Okay, we're Troll Shaman. We're going to be powering up something with... Okay. Oh, I really like this. I really like this play. So Bloodthirst prevents a card while giving it +1 power, charging, piercing, and ignoring Steadfast. It has the potential to give all these buffs. It also automatically prevents the card from being dealt damage for the round, but then destroys it at the end of the round. So with Crossbowman currently threatening the Goblin Archer, this guarantees that the Goblin Archer is going to get to pull off his action this round without being harassed by the Crossbowman. Honestly, I like it. Solid play, great use of Troll Shaman. The Knight just decides to take the bomb, which is valid, and then Goblin Archer moves in and takes the crossbow. Takes Aurelia!
Yeah, of course. Why not?
That's right, he does.
Why not? Go straight in there. That's a big swing, because I suppose the big thing we'll be careful of now is the Crag Behemoth. It's a massive unit that somehow, if it gets to center hex, Dex has to move off center hex with very little DPS, shall we say, at the moment. Very little damage output. The Knight does do a decent amount of damage. However, Crag Behemoth has Steadfast, meaning the Knight's got to get up in its grill, right, to do any damage. And Crag Behemoth, no one wants to get up in Crag Behemoth's grill. No one wants to go anywhere near that thing. Everyone wants to stay way away and take photos from 3 or 4 hexes away and show it to their grandkids in 60 years' time. No one's getting next to it, that's for sure.
That I could not agree more. Oh my gosh, so many things are happening so quickly. It's almost hard to keep up with the commentary, and that's how I like Legacy's Allure. It is a war game with a fast pace, and I couldn't be happier about that. So we've got Battle Fury going on the Goblin Archer to give it +1 power and charging while dealing it 1 damage. And I'm just thinking about how Dex's plan to deal with the Crag Behemoth is going to shake out. He still has enough mana on the Tempest Mage that he could either continuously exhaust the Crag Behemoth or deal enough damage to it, theoretically over the course of the next few rounds, to take it out and recapture that center. But we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. Dex has to make really smart trades and really smart plays and not lose any more units here while dealing with the rest of this Goblin Horde.
Yep.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. And again, so the Goblins almost, they've done their job, right? We were saying earlier how Aurelia literally ate up 3 of the Goblins, spat them out. But if we trade it off then, 4 Goblins for an Aurelia, well, that's an 8 gold unit for a hero, a stacked hero. Mm-hmm. You take that trade almost any day of the week, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Laro made good plays. At the moment, it looked like he was just dropping unit after unit, but in the end, it pans out. And that's the thing about Legacy's Allure. You can't just think about the current turn or the current round you're in. You have to be seeing the end game at the start of the game. And that's the big key to success. The farther ahead you can think, the farther ahead you can see, the higher chances you have to win. And it looks like both Laro and Dex are pulling that off right now because they are making some precognizant tier plays over here that I'm just not seeing coming. What is the plan with the Spellbreaker right now? He is giving magic damage resist to... He's silencing Kaar'thul! So silence prevents enemy active abilities from being triggered, and this includes Lightning Bolt.
Yep.
So when the Spellbreaker shuts down Kaar'thul's Lightning Bolt, that means that Kaar'thul can't move forward and deal damage to that swordsman, keeping it safe for the round.
Yep. Oh, there we go. So we saw Arch coming in and
goes down.
Yeah, Arch coming in because Archer is a ranged unit as well, charging in ranged. It just loses one range if it chooses to charge. So it pinging the Tempest Mage over there to clear that board, that clear the board up a little bit. Crag Behemoth coming away from the center hex, saying I don't need to get there yet. I've got 2 movement. We've still got plenty of rounds to go. But this is definitely the tide's definitely switched here, right? The only card. There's still the knight can still prove to be a potential problem.
Absolutely. Now, here's something that I do find very interesting, and I'm not sure what Laro's thinking here. Laro has moved away from the center and set up a defensive formation around his hero. So if I was Dex, what I would be doing is I would be moving Spellbreaker or Knight or that Swordsman to the center and setting up my own defensive formation around that point.
Yep.
And saying, all right, Lara, we've played your game. Now you're going to have to come to me. Let's see if you can take me down. I've got armor. I've got magic resist. Let's dance. And then we're going to silence the Troll Shaman, it looks like. Preventing Troll Shaman from activating his abilities this round. I think that's pretty good. I respect that play.
Yep. So Bloodthirst can't be activated on anything like the Hound to give it the extra buff to go forwards, or say the Archer, or even the Behemoth. If you wanted to give it to the Behemoth, well, that's kind of terrifying.
Oh, yes. I've actually seen Laro use Battle Fury and Bloodthirst on Crag Behemoth before, and just 8 damage charging. Let's go. Boom.
Wow. 8 damage charging. Eat that.
8 damage charging. That'll take out anything, man. I don't think we're going to be seeing it this game, but I have seen that specific play from this gentleman before.
Yep. What we're seeing over here now is... Oh, here we go. We are getting...
he's doing it. He's doing it.
He's
going for it. Yeah. Madman.
So he is going for it. Well, the units over there are tapped out as well. So the Crag Behemoth is literally going to eat that knight alive over there and sit there with just 1 health. The crossbowman will be able to take them out, though. Coming up there and pinging that Crag Behemoth. Oh, I can't because
the crossbowman.
Because the charger, because it's steadfast.
Steadfast.
Of course, because it's steadfast.
That's genius. The Behemoth is safe.
Yeah, because the steadfast. It can't do it. There we go. They're just saying now, yeah. The charging coming up and pinging can't do it. And he's out of range from the damage from the Spellbreaker as well. Oh, what a play. Now, and the Crag Behemoth is just kind of sat there like, hey, you know what I can do. Kaar'thul's got a damage in the tank with Lightning Bolt as well. I mean, maybe we see Troll Shaman play again.
Here's what I think. I think at this point, what I would do is I would Battle Fury the Crag Behemoth, Bloodthirst Kaar'thul, charge the Spellbreaker with Crag Behemoth, charge the Crossbowmen with Kaar'thul, and that's game.
That is game. That would literally be game. Do you think Dex is gone to middle to try and bait out just a melee attack from the Crag Behemoth to kind of get it exhausted? Because Kaar'thul obviously can't charge the Spellbreaker. He doesn't have enough damage output, even with the +1 to kill the Spellbreaker. And he has taken it.
And he's getting he's changed his mind.
Oh, has he seen the play that you spoke about? Has he seen that if he commits to Crag Behemoth there, the Spellbreaker is untapped and kills the Behemoth? Or he's still going to go with it?
All right. Well, I mean, it's still all fine, but I think my play, even if not necessarily better, would have been cooler.
Yeah.
And like I always say, you don't have to win games to send a message.
Indeed, that is very true.
Yes.
Here we go.
Bloodthirst, Battle Fury, Kaar'thul. Let's go.
There we go. Kaar'thul literally flying in now to deal the 3 damage. They will die at the end of the round because of the Blood Fury. Sorry, the Bloodthirst. But they cannot take damage, right? So they're there, but they can't take damage because of the Bloodthirst, but they will die at the end of the round. So yeah, kind of a final soiree from Kaar'thul, going in there, doing what they got to do. The range as well from the Troll Shaman. Troll Shaman's not a card you'd expect to threaten to win a game with its range damage, right? But as soon as that Spellbreaker creeps into that Golden Hex, Troll Shaman's there, pinging the delicatest of arrows over to take the game.
This is looking... Dex just has to pass. Spike Collar, Troll Shaman, and there is literally nothing Dex can do.
No.
This is going to be game because Dex's options are move Spellbreaker away to keep it alive. Spike Collar Hound takes center. If Spellbreaker tries to move to adjacent to center to take out Spike Collar Hound, Troll Shaman has all of those hexes covered. Or, you could just do that too. That's good. That works as well.
No, but it's another incredibly close game. Like, it's literally come down to 2 unit versus 1 unit. And considering the fact as Laro had so many more units than Dex, it just shows you that having more units is not necessarily right or wrong or stronger or weaker or anything like that. It's just completely different styles of play. And a massive congrats to both players. It was a genuinely fun game. Oh, we're not over yet. The Spellbreaker wants to come back and do a little dance for us to kind of show off before the final soiree kicks off. Spellbreaker is going to take the... Oh, we're in round 8. There we go. So it is over. Round 7's finished. Troll Shaman claims it on the Golden Hex at the end. And that was another cracking game of Legacies Allure.
It was. Thank you all for being here. And if you want to try out the game for yourself, this mod is available on Tabletop Simulator. Join our Discord server. We've got plenty of people ready to teach you the game and are looking forward to playing with you. So hopefully I'll see you around there.
Indeed. And some big news as well to share with you. We mentioned last week that there's an upcoming Kickstarter, and we can tell you now that Kickstarter is it's going live very soon. It's going live on the 15th of February. So around about 5 days after this video goes live, if my maths is correct. So be sure to check that out as well. The link to that is below, as well as a link to the Discord, a link to everywhere you possibly need to go to be invested, get involved, check out, enjoy, bathe yourself in Legacies Allure. Everything is below, so you can follow it there. And yeah, another cracking game, another great game. Next week is going to be another 50 gold Blitz game. And after that week, we're upping the ante again. On week 5, we're going to be upping it to 80 gold Blitz. So there's going to be a lot more units on there, a lot of chunkier units on there as well. You're going to start seeing units you wouldn't see in the 50 gold Blitz because there's that extra 30 gold to play with. And eventually we move on to the fully traditional draft mode. But more on that later. Once again, Mr. Robo, thank you for being here. Thank you for your wonderful analysis on the game. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been good to be here, as always.
Indeed. And to you guys watching, thank you again as well. I hope you enjoyed the game. Any questions, by all means, fire them in the comments below, and people will answer them. Community members often watch these videos. Until next time, have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you guys are, and goodbye.